Hey there, thanks for clicking on this video. So there's an 80% chance you have no idea who I am and you just decide you're gonna click on a video about passive income or making money online, that kind of thing. So first of all, my name is Roberto Blake. I'm a creative entrepreneur and I do not sell a $2,000 business course. So I'm glad we got that out of the way. But in all seriousness, what I do want to talk to you today about is separating your time from money and some of the things I learned. And this video is not really for everybody. In fact, I hesitated to make this video. I've actually tried to shoot, edit, and make this video 8 times. I've deleted 6 hours of footage just because of how skeptical I know people on the internet are. And that's okay because this video isn't for everybody. I make videos really for people like me, people who have either similar lived life experience or have a similar background or same interest as me. And it's possible that that's not you. So if you want to click off of this video and never watch anything from me again, because we have nothing in common, that's totally fine. It's all right. I also need to go ahead and I need to maybe explain a little bit to you guys about my background and how I've made my money. So when I was a teenager, I actually worked like very low wage jobs in the beginning, but I also always had some kind of like minor little side hustle, whether it was like selling Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic the Gathering and Pokemon cards, because I used to do that because I'm a big old nerd, or whether it was actually helping, a few people in my community with some of their problems with their computers, their software, or even setting up a small website for their business. Like this is the kind of stuff I did as a teenager and as a young adult until I actually started working at a company where I worked as a web and graphic designer. Then later I actually became a traditional marketer and I worked in advertising, and I learned a lot of things along the way there that actually helped me in business. But one of the most important and most valuable things that I think I ever learned in life was that eventually I learned that trading time for money is a really bad deal, because no matter how good you get at something, no matter how productive you are, no matter how efficient you are, you're not gonna necessarily make more money that way. So you're not gonna be rewarded in proportion to your skill and to your effort or the improvement that you're making. And that actually kind of sucks if you're an employee and you find yourself in that situation, because you're making a bigger contribution, but then you're not actually getting a bigger reward as a result. Does that make sense when I say it to you? Like you're making a bigger contribution, but then nothing is happening to actually improve in your circumstances. So where I was in life was somebody who literally was making $6 an hour and then, a decent salary, about $35K a year, to someone who now makes multiple 6 figures. And I'm gonna show you guys some screenshots and stuff from PayPal. I'm gonna show it to you in a way that it's not Photoshopped. My largest overall affiliate system over the last 4 years has made me $200,000 on one product. I'm making a dedicated video about that. And it's not just because I do YouTube videos, that is a big part of it, but it's really that I created a way to get traffic. And I actually was doing that before YouTube because I learned it working on the job at a company. I actually learned a lot by working for an employer. I learned how to be a not crappy boss, so that helps too. You learn a lot of things along the way when you go through different experiences. And there are a lot of skills that I think are very powerful, but I'm also gonna give you guys a little bit of help and advice because maybe you don't have a tech savvy background. Maybe you don't have an internet skill like I did. When I was young, and I bring this back to like that whole thing where I told you I used to sell Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon cards, that was called doing a transaction. And doing a transaction is a way of making money that's completely separate from time. And so in that case, what I was doing was basically reselling, because I was buying these packs and sometimes boxes of cards, either with my allowance or money that I made from mowing lawns, raking leaves, helping clean up debris. I grew up in North Carolina, so in Hurricane Alley, there was always that kind of thing to be able to do a couple of times a year. So you were either gonna be, raking leaves, cleaning up debris, helping with yard work, moving furniture. There was always some little task you could do, and you could actually make decent money doing it, even as a kid, right? So then I was buying, these trading cards, and occasionally you actually pull some rarer cards, or you get a bunch of cards and you can kind of do grab bags and sell those to people on eBay. But I was actually, selling the more rare cards that I wasn't going to use. So I was buying a lot of stuff and I was getting it in bulk or cheap. and I was selling the best out of it and making my money back with a profit. So that was just a little side hustle thing. And there are like people who actually do reselling online of different things. They go to flea markets, they shop around and look for deals, and then maybe something actually increases in rarity, and then they sell it online on eBay and Amazon. You know, my friend Reezy Resells has an entire YouTube channel dedicated to this, so you guys might want to check him out. But that's just an idea for somebody who may not have a technical skill. When I was growing up, my dad was a soldier in the military, but he also had the skills of a mechanic. On the weekends, he would actually do mechanic work, and he wasn't charging anyone by the hour. He was charging what he wanted to for the job at hand, and he knew how many hours that would take him. But if he actually finished early, he would make less money if he charged by the hour. So he didn't do that. He told someone how much it was going to be to fix something. He calculated what he thought was his time's value. He also thought about the expenses, any tools he might need to get they didn't already have, the parts, all of those things. He figured that into the price, and that was something he could do. And that's because he had and learned the skills of a mechanic. So again, you don't have to be tech savvy to start separating time from money. This is how you trade results for money. So it's another level. You could trade time for money, but then there's an artificial ceiling where you may not be rewarded for how skilled you are, because it might take you less time as you get better at it. And so why are you making less money for getting better at something? That seems completely backwards, right? But when you charge for results, you're rewarded for being efficient, effective, productive, and just being more skillful over a period of time. So the longer your career is, then the better off you're going to be, because you can actually get more work in for less hours, but still produce a high quality of work that's worth paying for. And you're improving your reputation over time too, because people are happy to get something sooner rather than later. They're happy when you meet deadlines. And so that's what I learned. Now, for me, the skills that I learned were in the freelance areas of creativity. I am a creative person. Maybe you're not a creative person, but I think that if you are a creative person and you become part of the creator economy, you know, this big digital revolution and transformation that we're seeing right now, I think that there's so many ways that you can make money, especially online. And that's where I really put a lot of the focus of this YouTube channel. It's not just about, oh, well, let's grow a YouTube channel and make money off the ads. We're really doing that because it's a traffic source that can bring people to us. And then those people can give us opportunities. They can either buy something from us directly, they can become part of our network, they can recommend us for jobs, or just through social proof, they can boost our reputation. So those are reasons to build a YouTube channel, start a podcast, start a blog, or write a book. It's because then you have a traffic source. And the more traffic you have, the more transactions you can do. See, my dad was doing mechanic work, but he was operating within the network of people he knew and word of mouth. And so that's a little bit limited, but it's a great place for anybody to start, because it requires zero online following. And this is something that makes sense for you guys. So right now we're kind of just talking about having a side hustle to make extra money. But there's a point where if you become good enough or there's enough demand, this can start to outpace your 9-to-5 job. And as you get good at it, it might actually take you less time to make more money. And let me show you how real this is. I wish I had figured this out as a teenager, because when I was working as a teenager at the mall, I actually, in one of my first jobs working at, the shoe department in Macy's, was earning what's called commission against a draw. And what happens is we're advanced what our theoretical hourly salary is for the hours that we work, but we have to make that in sales commissions or we actually go into the negative. So the thing is, you could actually do work and it be worth $0 because you were advanced on the idea that you were going to sell things. So if it's a slow sales day, you're not really making any money. You're practically working for free to maintain the stockroom, clean up the floor, greet customers that don't buy, accept returns. You really could have a bad situation there. And there are states where it's actually illegal to do commission sales against a draw. It just wasn't back when I was working. Back in my day, it just wasn't back then. And it just depends on the states and what they decide. So that's a really, really crappy job when you think about it. And then in other jobs, I was straight up getting $6 or $7 an hour. Now this is a little further back. I'm 35 now, so this is back in the day, and that might have been considered decent money. But let's look at what I was facing here. I could work a 6-hour shift, and maybe I'm going to make about roughly, let's say it comes out to $42 or something like that, $42, $48. I'm also going to have to pay taxes on that directly out of my paycheck. So I'm not even probably making $40 at the end of my shift. By contrast, if I decided to mow a lawn, it could take me between 1 and 2 hours, and I was gonna make $50. And that was gonna be cash in hand. So, I wonder if I'm gonna pay taxes on that cash in hand at 17 years old. Probably not. So what I'm getting at here is that in terms of the exchange of my time for money, I was actually losing on the deal through traditional employment, but in areas where I could make my own opportunity and I could say, here's how much I'm gonna charge you for a service, I could actually stand to make more money and give up less of my time. And the faster or better or more efficient I get at that, the more money I'm going to make in that amount of time. There's no way to scale the 9-to-5 job. There's no way to scale the traditional work and really to be able to be rewarded proportionately to the result that I produce, because that's what's not on the table. The results aren't on the table, my time is, and my time is limited and finite. Now, in terms of results, the better I get, the more results I can produce. So this was the first way I started separating time from money. But wait, Roberto, that's hustling, that's active, that's not passive, that's not making money in your sleep. Making money in your sleep is not something you get to do overnight. And I'm explaining to you that this concept slowly crept up on me over a period of time in my life. So as I said, one of the first things you can do is you can look at where you can put your time, where it makes you more money, and where it's not contingent on the amount of time you have to be able to put into it, to be able to make more, to where it's only about how long does it take you to produce that result. Now, let's talk about the beginnings of passive income and what I did after I stopped, doing freelancing and things like that. Because again, even as a salaried employee, I could be held hostage at work for an all hands on deck, end up working a 12-hour shift and not make more money because I agreed to a salary. So no matter how much time I'm clocked in for, I'm not making extra money. So that's the other part of like having a nice salary job, a nice stable salary. Like, you can be held hostage at work. And the thing is, even if they're not supposed to do some of those things or what's in the contract, the reality is, do you really, as a regular, working stiff, have the ability to sue your employer? Odds are against it. And then what job are you going to get next when in your background you sued your last employer if you live in a small town, which was, the situation I was in. So what do you do then? When it comes to passive income, this is where people get very skeptical. What I refer to passive income is automated income because, one, I think it's more accurate and I think it's more honest. Because what I'm talking about when I talk about passive income is I'm talking about building a system and basically separating myself from the transaction and the value that's delivered. What I want to do is build essentially a vending machine business, a vending machine style business where, a customer, a consumer puts, money in and they get value out. Money in, value out, just like a vending machine. I put my money in and then I get my Snickers bar out. I put my money in, I get my sugar water out. That is what I want to happen in terms of a transaction. So there are a lot of ways to begin to transition into this. And one of the simple ways that people start with is actually selling print-on-demand products. And this is something I learned in my 20s, was that you can make print-on-demand t-shirts. And so you could also do that with posters. I was a Photoshop kid because I'm a big old nerd. If you haven't noticed, I'm a big old introverted nerd. I am really only into like art and photography and comic books and, reading and playing with my dogs. It's really all I care about. So when it comes to the idea of like spending my time doing creative work, I was going to do that for free anyway, because it's my hobby. But I learned that I could turn that into something I could monetize. I could start making money off of the ability to make cool artwork or do typography and stuff like that. So you start doing something very simple with the skills you already have. And the other good thing is today you can learn a lot of these skills. You can learn about digital art, you can learn about Photoshop, you can learn video editing, you can learn, how to do podcasting. There's so many cool opportunities for you to learn stuff on the internet. And that's actually why I made my channel, is I made it to teach people like me how to do things they actually like doing and that they can make money from. So with the print on demand stuff, one of the websites that I recommend is Teespring. You guys might notice, because I have a YouTube channel, that Teespring is directly integrated with my channel. And so if people decide that they want to buy one of the creator t-shirts or creator hoodies or something like that, I'm also getting ready to come out with mugs, then what would happen is, because I set up Teespring and I decided my own pricing, I had to put no money up front like this. This is not like back in the day when Damon John used to sell FUBU out of the trunk of his car back in Queens. This is a little bit different. You don't have to front money and buy a bulk order of t-shirts and hope that people buy it and then shelve it in your dorm room or in your apartment or whatever. You actually just have the website handle everything for you. You're responsible for the creative work. They even sometimes help you get the traffic. So even if you don't have a big following, you could actually just use the traffic that these websites already have by making cool and ironic t-shirts. So that is one way of beginning this idea of, well, can I make passive income? Because once you've made the artwork and you've made these digital products and put them up in an online store, the transaction is going to happen without you. Someone can buy it at 2 a.m. and you don't have to do anything at all. The money is there. And so what you're doing is you're moving into e-commerce. You're moving into digital retail, where there's now unlimited inventory, unlimited distribution potential, unlimited transaction potential, and it's in no way tied to your time after you've made your products and maybe after you've set up your marketing and your traffic. Now, for a lot of people, this is mind-blowing when we start to think about the idea that, okay, instead of trading time for money, first of all, we can go ahead and we can set a price and we can do value-based pricing for our labor. But then we could also just separate our labor, front load that, make our own product that we own, and we can just sell it to people. And so we can start moving into transaction-based income. So transaction-based income instead of time-based income is where I can either do labor and say, here's how much I charge for a service, or here's how much I charge for a product. Now, again, with the service, you still are putting in time, but the amount of time you put in doesn't determine how much money you make. And that's where we're creating separation now. We create further separation when we move from a service-based business to a product-based business, where the result is you bought the product, you have the thing, all right? Now that's actually really cool, but we can scale that even further when we look at monetizing things like content. Let's look at YouTube as a good example. I can front load the effort of making a YouTube video and it will keep making me money over and over and over off of the ad revenue. But because I already have the traffic, if people decide to buy my camera gear from the affiliate links, I list all the camera gear and all the lighting and stuff that I use to make these videos, the microphones, all of it with Amazon in the description of all of my YouTube videos. So if you guys decide to buy that, then I get a small commission from Amazon. If someone buys the camera lens that I'm using, I usually make anywhere from $50 to $80 when people buy these camera lenses. If someone buys the camera body, I make significant money from that. Even just things like people doing a free trial of audiobooks to read the business books that I've been reading, I make money off of just the free trial from Amazon. I make $5 commissions on that alone, and it costs my audience $0. This is why traffic being turned into a transaction is so important, and it's a great lesson for you to learn, because then all these different internet tactics, it doesn't matter if you don't understand the principles and you don't understand how to build the skills to accomplish it. So what I try to teach people is, when they want to grow a YouTube channel, I try to teach them how to find a profitable niche. And for me, a profitable niche isn't really about what makes the most ad revenue on YouTube, but how do you find an audience of people that you can reach and get excited about something that also turns into a transaction, either with you directly selling them a product, whether it's your t-shirt and they love your brand or they just love the artwork, or whether they want to do a business with you by hiring you to do something. So a lot of people, they hire me for help with their digital online business or scaling their YouTube channel, or for their YouTube channel, they might actually want to start hiring people to help them on the back end. They don't know how to do that. So they ask for actual business advice. It's not just about, oh, how do I grow a YouTube channel? Or, oh, you're a YouTube guru. No, it's about the logistics problems that I help people solve in terms of spending less time doing the things they don't like and figuring out how to price the outsourcing, how to set up the schedule, how to build their systems, all of that. So the systems that I use for passive income to make money in my sleep are a combination of me doing YouTube content, my website, my podcast, all these different traffic sources, right? So I have a way through the content to get eyeballs with like search engines and things like that and the algorithms. Then because of that, I am getting ad revenue, but then I also have this vehicle that I can use to get sponsorships. I have this vehicle for affiliate marketing, so I can have transactions that happen in my sleep for someone else's product where I get a percentage. And then I also have my own products that I can sell to my audience and they buy that, and then I get those transactions as well. So I take that one piece of content and I'm actually finding sometimes up to 5 or more ways to make money on it after the effort is already done. I make sometimes hundreds of dollars on a video long after it's already been published, sometimes years after it's been published if it's something technical. But as I told you earlier, even if you're not gonna ever become a content creator, even if you're not gonna become an entrepreneur, there are ways for you to make more money by separating your time from money. There's another form of this that's also called leveraging your results. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can either find ways to turn your money into more money, or you can use your money to buy someone else's time, and then you can free up your time for your highest value actions. You can also profit from the results that they're producing. So this is how most traditional businesses work. But even if you don't have to do one or the other of these things. You can do as many of these things in combination as you're capable of, and you can do it over a period of time. This is something I didn't do overnight. It is taking me years upon years upon years to build up my systems and to grow them. But what I will tell you is that within roughly like 3 years, I was able to go from quitting my job to making 6 figures a year. And then I was able to scale that and start to grow that and make it more and more and more. I was also able to do that and then get back more of my time because I was able to invest the money that I was making into the beginning of outsourcing to freelancers. So I went from someone who was a freelancer to someone who hires freelancers. Now I have independent contractors that work part-time within my business because we really don't have a heavy workload for them just yet. So I don't need anybody to be fully free, full time, really 40 hours a week or anything. And then I actually can keep as much of my time to work on my art, play with my dogs, and when the world isn't burning down, I can travel pretty much as I want because my time is not held hostage and determining how much money I make because I've put in place systems where either the machines and the robots are creating transactions for me, they're generating income, and where other people are even helping on the back end for the content that I make to get the traffic now. And then for the things where I do have to do customer service, like for example, I have a membership group that people are a part of. We do a training on Tuesday, we do a live Q&A on Thursdays, and we do monthly group coaching calls. But we also have a Facebook group where people interact every day. I actually hired someone to help as an operations manager to manage a lot of these tasks and to actually co-host the webinar trainings with me and to also handle a lot of the just day-to-day operations in my coaching business so that I actually can free up more time to respond to emails, work with sponsors, to do public speaking, which I'm really passionate about when the world's not burning down, and to actually make my content better, to improve the quality of my content. And so I was able to definitely benefit by being in a position to leverage somebody else's time. While that's all happening, my systems are still growing and still finding ways to make me income. So again, I've been very thoughtful about this. And then the final thing I started doing a few years ago was I started investing a lot more of my profits into my retirement accounts. So that sets me up for my future. So now I have a system that is generating me money because of the stock market while I work on other things or while I do nothing at all, while I sleep. So like I said, making money in your sleep is not something you get to do overnight. It takes years of effort to learn skills, to then build and front load your systems, and to also really understand how to deliver value to other people that they would want. And if somebody had just explained it to me like that sooner and told me that, hey, Roberto, if you want to make a lot more money, you need to figure out how to help a lot more people. Then you have to figure out how to remove yourself from that transaction. And then you can go and build another thing and another thing and another thing. Like, it would have really helped me if I had been able to understand those principles and concepts and have it explained to me in a realistic way with realistic expectations. You have to understand, I'm not a Lamborghini entrepreneur, and I don't sell a $10,000 program, and I don't sell a $2,000 course. I don't really think that if you deliver real value, there's anything wrong with that if you're not selling to beginners. Like, if you're selling a $10,000 thing, I think that you should be doing that for executives. Maybe that's an executive coaching program of some kind. That makes total sense to me if you have that. When I sell certain things, I'm actually looking more for people like me and people who understand the value of those things. There are things I would like to do to like maybe help beginners in terms of a resource. So I'm willing to do something like that. But I think for a lot of people, most of the people that I would classify as actual beginners can be helped by my free content. I think after they've gotten any kind of results or started practicing the principles, then that's when they're in a better position to work with me, because honestly, I don't always have the patience for somebody who needs the bare minimum basics explained to them. I would rather they get that from the free content of me or someone else. And then when they're a little bit more experienced, I would rather help people grow what they have than actually have to hold their hand in the very beginning. Because I think that my learning style and my temperament doesn't always make me the best for the beginners and for like holding someone's hand through every single step of the process that way. I'd rather just make a free tutorial on something like that than actually have to do that in terms of client services, if that makes sense. And I think part of that is just the experience I had doing that in corporate America and working with people in that situation was just not very satisfying for me. So that's just kind of my perspective. You know, take that with a grain of salt. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope that if you're somebody that is a little bit more like me, this makes sense to you. I don't think that this kind of video is for everybody, and this may not be a process that you can wrap your head around just yet, because believe me, it took me well into my late 20s to start to put the pieces of this stuff together, even though I was subconsciously practicing this even as a teenager. It didn't click to me until I was already an adult and well throughout my career. So if you are somebody who struggled with this or you still don't get it, I totally understand that. That makes total sense to me. I'm just trying to explain it the best way I can, and hopefully that helps you a little bit. Question of the day: what other questions, what other videos do you want me to make covering passive income, making money online, or the idea of automated income? And did you get any kind of value out of this video? Let me know in the comment section down below. Like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the other awesome stuff here on the channel. As always, you guys, thanks so very much for watching, and don't forget, go out there and create something awesome today. Take care.